What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. This is Darian the Dev, and today we got another live stream for y'all, and I'm excited. I have another fellow YouTuber here with me, and his channel is called Tobi the Great. And sorry, I'm just making sure everything is good. Gotta check the stream on like my phone and multiple devices, and just make sure we're streaming. But we're going to be talking with Tobi from the channel, Tobi the Great, today. And he's another developer, obviously. He has some Facebook experience. He worked at Facebook as an intern, so I'm super excited to hear about that. He has some videos where he talks about how he hated college as well. So I really, as somebody who didn't finish college myself, I'm really interested to hear his reasons behind why he feels like that. So I think this will be a really good live stream. I'm also gonna, before we end this stream, I'm also gonna have him share a little bit of YouTube advice because he's also a growing YouTuber. So I want to make sure we, go give him some support and. Sorry, y'all, I'm still just checking real quick to make sure the stream is good on just audio and video, and make sure there's no lag. But I want to make sure that we get his feedback, and I want to get some of his thoughts on people who want to start YouTube channels as well, because like I said, I'm a small YouTuber and I'm growing. And all right, perfect. All right, cool. Just had to make sure the stream was good. So I want to get his opinion on starting a YouTube channel and some of his thoughts and I guess ideas for people who are out there thinking about starting a channel or who want to start channels. I get a lot of questions about that sometimes. And I think it'll be good to hear that as well. But I'll save that to the very end of the stream because I know everybody's here for the tech stuff. So again, just thank y'all for supporting me on these live streams. It's been a new thing I've been doing for the last month or so, 2 months. And yeah, I just I want to switch it up and just give everybody a chance to hear other people's opinions, not just my opinions that also work in tech. And live streaming has just been a great way for me to connect with other people everywhere. So I'm really excited to talk to Tobi. We're going to call him here on Skype in just a second. Excuse me. We'll call him here in a second. Bring him on the stream. And we'll go ahead and get this going. I'm going to go ahead and switch over. So again, y'all, his channel is Tobi the Great. Tobi. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up on the screen. What's that? Yup. So it's Tobi the Great, y'all. Tobi the Great. And I'm gonna go ahead and call him and bring him in.
Hello?
Yo, Tobi, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Darren, can you hear me good?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me just make sure everything is cool on my end real quick. I just had a lag go on, so I'm trying to just monitor and watch and make sure everything is good. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm happy to be on your channel, man. I've been checking it out for a while now, maybe 2-3 months.
I appreciate that, man. So yeah. I have his channel up right now on the stream, y'all. Like I said, Tobi the Great. Go over there and make sure you guys get some likes on his videos and make sure you also subscribe. So Tobi, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Yep. So Tobi the Great. My actual name is Oluwatobi Popola. I'm Nigerian. 22 years old. Just finished my last semester in college, and I've been doing YouTube for about maybe a year and a half. And I'm really into tech, basketball, a bunch of stuff. And for a while, I was always kind of always inching my way towards doing content creation. And sometimes people told me like, oh, you had an internship at XYZ company.
Yeah.
You're black. Like, I think I could offer like a unique perspective. And
Yeah.
then eventually I was just like, you know what? Yeah. So I just took the dive and I did it. But yeah, comp sci major.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So from Nigeria, did you move? So where are you based right now?
So my family is from Nigeria. I should preface that. I was born in America.
Okay.
I'm from the Bronx, New York. Yeah.
All right, got you. I just came to New York for the first time in July, man. I was only there for like one day. I don't know if I was in Harlem. I don't know how far that is from the Bronx, but
Yeah.
bro, it's yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I went to school in Harlem.
Okay,
Middle school,
okay.
middle school, yeah.
How do you I guess you're from there, so you've been there, your whole life. But I mean, how do you like New York?
New York is fine, man, but it's all over the place. I go to a small school, or like I finished my last semester, go to a super small school in the middle of nowhere, Northwest Massachusetts. And New York is great, man. It's great, and it's like fast. Like people just walk all over the place. Like no one has any time for
There's a lot going on, yeah,
any
man.
pleasantries or anything. Yeah, but I really like New York, and I'm going back there after graduation.
Okay.
I'm a software. I'm doing. I'm going to be a software engineer at a startup in New York.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a benefit being in New York in terms of like the tech scene? Because there's so many people, and there's just always so much going on. There's so many events and meetups and opportunities, companies. So
Yeah, just that. Definitely like being a large city compared to other hubs. Like New York is really going up there in terms of being a tech hub. It's going up there with San Francisco, Seattle. It does have a high cost of living, but something that I guess a lot of people miss is the fact that transportation there, you don't need a car really to go anywhere. You can take the train, the bus. All it takes is $2.75. You can go all across the city. And that's usually a huge barrier for a lot of people to get to opportunities. It's hard to like get to places in a nice manner. But New York with the subway system, sometimes in the summer there's a lot of construction, so it could be a little.
It's kind of crowded, man. I was in there like holding on to the thing and just bumping into people, and I don't know. It's well. So being from Detroit, man, it's just so wild. Like everyone's so used to being so close to other people all the time. Like rubbing, bumping, touching people. Like it's no real personal space. Everything is just. I agree. That was different, but yeah, it's cool though. It's cool. There's always something going on, and like you said, I feel like there's no matter what you like, what you're into. I feel like there's an opportunity out there. So yeah that's big. So man, I got a lot of questions for you. So how did you get into coding originally?
Yeah. Okay, so I would say I grew up in a family of 3 sisters, all older than me. I was the only boy in the family. So I didn't really have a lot of shared interests with my sisters. What I really liked doing was playing computer games. I got really good at using the computer to the point where I was the one that people would go to in the family and family friends if there was something wrong with the computer.
Yep.
I just love messing with it. What I really wanted to be when I was younger, like 11, 12, was a video game creator. I thought like that was the coolest thing. I saw those DeVry University commercials, like learn to trade. I was like, I don't need a college degree. I'm just gonna get a trade and just be a video game, or just go to one of those schools. But after a while, I guess I just started like learning more about the things that people do with computers. That it's not just like. There's a whole like mentality to computer science and to actually programming. And I was lucky enough, the summer going into my senior year of high school, I was part of this, like not coding boot camp, but it was kind of like a summer coding intensive for young men of color in New York. It was called All-Star Code. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's growing really rapidly. I was there for their first cohort of boys, but it's growing, and now it's in 3 cities now, I think, New York, Pittsburgh, and I'm blanking on the third one. But sweet. All-Star Code. Sorry?
No, I said sweet. So I was gonna say, well, like, tell me if you can tell me more about it. Yeah.
So, seventh. So basically, they took not 7th grade. High school juniors and seniors and sophomores, and it was basically just an 8-week course of just running through what it means to program. Introducing us to different languages, even stuff outside of that. Like we visited a bunch of companies in New York, like Google, Spotify, just learning more about the tech company. And we even practiced public speaking and
That's sweet,
how
man.
to
So
introduce
it's like
yourself.
soft skills stuff. That's
It was
sweet.
amazing. It really changed how I thought about everything. But a funny thing about that is I felt like I was one of the slowest kids in the class. Like basically, I could not understand everything. Everyone wanted to do JavaScript, Python. I was perfectly fine with HTML. That was my favorite thing because you could just see it on the screen.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I stuck to HTML and CSS and Scratch also. We used that to start.
Yep.
All that other stuff like variables and stuff I was not into at all. So
so was that like a paid sign up course type thing, or was it a free community based?
It was free. Yeah, it was completely free for us. Yeah, it was an amazing program. I think the first group was 20 kids.
How'd you get in? Is
So
it
it was
just
an
your
application process.
okay?
Where you interviewed and also like you had to submit a written application. I believe it should be. I can send a link or post it somewhere.
That's sweet.
It's a great. It's
That
really
is-
it's an
that
amazing
is sweet.
program. Yeah.
So that was your very first exposure to coding ever.
Yeah,
And how long was that again?
about 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Maybe
Okay.
12. I can't remember, but it was throughout the summer, the majority of the summer.
And they were exposing you to all these different languages. So was it just like a basic introduction to all the languages, or were y'all building different, like were y'all building like a project, or what was?
I would say it was a basic introduction to. So 1 week we did learning variables, and I think we just used Python as an example. Another one we learned about web development, so we did HTML, CSS, some JavaScript too, and we learned APIs on 1 week too, where we learned how to interact with I think, the weather API to like to get
man.
little
I mean, that's stuff that people do in boot camps.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Basically that's I don't know. So did you go to a boot camp at all, or?
No.
Because you were because you were in school for computer science, so okay, that makes sense. So that I mean, a lot of stuff you're talking about was in my boot camp. So I mean, it's just wild to hear you had that exposure for free in high school, right?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Boot camps are amazing. I mean, I guess it wasn't on the same level as a boot camp because boot camp is I understand it to be really project focused. Like you guys are really creating active products at the end. But yeah, pretty much like that.
That's cool, man. So do you remember what your first program was? Like whatever the first thing you made that had like some back end programming?
Oh, back end.
Yeah.
So like my first major project would have been in freshman year of college, where coming into it, I knew my school was going to be in the middle of nowhere, and I was kind of in that entrepreneur like, yo, I'm going to make that one app to get me $1 billion phase.
Why not?
So,
yep. Go for it.
So I learned when I got to my campus that Uber and Lyft wasn't available in the area. So I was like, that's interesting because a lot of college students here have cars. So then I thought to myself, what if I make an Uber for college students where all the drivers would be college students. So you'd have that added layer of security and safety because you would know, or that person would be in your community.
Nice.
So I built that with Swift. And it was lucky enough because in 2014, Swift was released, the language for iOS development. So before that, you had to code iOS apps in Objective-C, which was a lot harder because you had to manage memory and a whole bunch of stuff that I was not at the level of doing. But Swift was really easy to use. And I was like, yo, I really want to do iOS development. So I don't know if this is one of your other questions, but to learn it, there was no class that I took. It was a bunch of tutorials on YouTube. There's this really great website that I go to all the time, even now, Udemy, where you can get courses for like $10. And literally, it's just hours of content that you can just watch and just use at your own leisure. So I was doing hours and hours of that all week long. And then I built the app. It looked terrible, but I told everybody about it though. I made posters. I hung them on the library walls and on the dining hall walls. They took them down and I put them back up. But I really thought this idea was gonna pop.
Yeah,
it didn't. But it was fun.
So you launched it. You got it out in the App Store and people could download it. It was out there.
Yeah.
So what happened? How'd it go?
So the issue was first the app UI was terrible, but I think the idea was cool enough that I still got a few hundred people downloaded it.
Wow.
I think the main issue was that I didn't understand payment integrations correctly enough. So how the site was built, how the app is built, it was built in Swift for the mobile part, and for the back end was where the payments were supposed to take place. And I followed this tutorial online of making a PHP script that would create like an authentication token that you can send to Stripe, which is this financial, like this financial tech app that you can use to do online payments. And then I just felt a little uneasy because I'm like, I'm not good at this. Like this, I feel like there's a little, I don't want to handle people's money when I'm just learning how to code now.
So do you think out of the people who downloaded the app, did anybody try to get a ride, or did you have any successful ride shares?
No. Okay. I made sure that no one was going to use that. It was terrible. There were no safety like precautions built on it. It was just straight up, you just put your credit card number in this text box.
That's crazy, man. Did you I went blank.
Yeah.
Lost my question.
No, sorry.
Let me see. All right, so how'd you get into iOS? Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. So did you get everything working exactly like a Uber or a Lyft? So did you get like the geolocation stuff and like actual like order rides and knowing where everyone's at? Like, I guess because that's a pretty big first project. So can you talk about some of the stuff that went into that?
Yeah, and let me know if I'm going a little too deep.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So yeah, basically how it works is Uber, you sign in. There's two different sign-in integrations you want. You want to have an option to sign in as a rider or as a driver. And they will see two different screens. So the riders will just be able to enter where they want to go. And then basically that's it. But I had the app set up, like I was a little too far ahead of myself because obviously my first project, I thought I could do everything. So I was like, all right, so you could put in your time, the time you want to leave. You could put in where you want to go. I had a bunch of pre-set locations, and what kind of car you wanted available. A bunch of those kinds of information. And then once you send that request in, on the driver's side, they'll have this little table view where you can see all the current riding requests, and then you can see their destination. How I thought I could beat Uber was because to my understanding, when you're a driver with Uber, you can't see where the rider is going until you pick them up. So you have no idea if this is a ride that's going to cost you time. Okay. So you could spend like 30 minutes getting to someone where they want to go, like a 5-minute ride.
Exactly.
Like it's a waste of money. So I thought, hey, if a driver knows ahead of time, I'm just going to Walmart. That's like a mile away from my campus. And that could be a pretty good benefit. Yeah. So once the driver sees all the available rides, they can choose to accept or decline. And then once they accept, they get the rider's location, and then they can pick them up and then go to the destination and back. So, yeah.
So what was the most challenging part?
Man, honestly, every step, every feature I wanted to build, there were so many hurdles because I was just... See, the issue with following along a tutorial of something online is if you just copy blindly what they're doing,
it's not gonna work. Once
you want to divert away, you realize that, hey, the training wheels are off. I don't know how to ride.
Yeah.
It's really bad. So there were so many issues. Like geolocation was definitely a huge issue because I didn't understand how that worked.
I've never used it myself. Isn't it like a GeoJSON or something like that? It's like a certain type of format that you...
Yeah. It does have to do with formatting the values and making sure that someone is getting the location when they're supposed to. Because there was a bug where you're just able to see the location of all the riders on the app if you're a driver, which is obviously really bad. So.
Right. Yeah.
It was frustrating at times.
Is it still up? Is it in the App Store?
I hope not. I think I took it down.
Are you trying to take it down? All right, I was gonna check it out.
I want to use it. I mean, I think you can't anyway because I think the back end is down, so you won't be able to sign in.
Okay.
But, that's sweet. Yeah, it was frustrating, but I think it was really helpful in just understanding how to build something.
So that's cool. So I mean, so in terms of coding, you had this like pseudo bootcamp type program where you first got exposed to coding, and then with Swift, it sounds like you're pretty much just self-taught through Udemy courses.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So, what's your thoughts on that? So you are in school for computer science, and then you are self-taught in Swift, and you built this ride-sharing app for like your college. So,
yeah.
What can you say about the differences, I guess, in the classroom university format of learning how to code and then teaching yourself Swift?
Yeah. So I would say for my college's curriculum, and this can vary, I guess, depending on whatever school you go to, it was heavily theory-based. So you learn about variables, and you learn about stuff like inheritance and encapsulation of functions, and a bunch of things that you can't really put into practice until you're like working on a project. And I think the main benefit of doing it yourself and working independently is you can really set your sights out on building a specific thing and then working towards it. So a lot of the issues that I would say that college students have, like once they graduate, is, I mean, in terms of issues in the work, when you get to the workplace, is college gives you this kind of curriculum, and it gives you a set project, it gives you a starting code base to work with.
Oh, wow.
A bunch of things are already defined for you, and that can hurt when you're going into the workplace. I'm not even a full-time engineer, and like I know that like it's you're tackling a bunch of stuff.
It's way different. Day. Yeah, it's way different. Yeah.
So I would say just having that, taking the best parts of both sides, I think really helped my career in terms of understanding that, hey, like a lot of times you're going to deal with something that you don't know. But I would say having the fundamentals and the theory helped me a lot. But at this point, I don't think you need to go to college. I mean, I had a video about it that
I think the thing is, I think the funny thing is, like, I agree. I feel the same way. I dropped out of college or whatever, but I do think that there's, and like computer science, software development specifically, there's definitely a value. Like I've noticed it in having the CS degree, and it definitely does pay. I mean, just in terms of you getting calls back for interviews or just opportunities to get certain things, like it would definitely. This is one situation where I would say like having a degree in computer science is still helpful.
You know
definitely. What I mean?
I think it'll always be helpful to have a degree, and I mean, no, sorry, I take that back. I think it's always. For comp sci, it's definitely easier. Like I definitely for resumes, I've heard firsthand that like seeing what school you go to has a huge impact on whether or not you get calls back. Yeah. I don't think it's impossible to do without a degree. It's just much harder for your first few years at least. After like 2 years, I doubt anyone really cares.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of college, what are some of the reasons why you hated college? Yeah.
So it's tough, especially when I would say like you really have an idea or a dream for building something. Like I thought that ride sharing app was going to be great, but in general, I just learned about app development like a year before I went into college, and I'm like, I want to be that. Like I want to be a person that like creates like this crazy mobile app. I have this book, I forgot the name of it, but it's about this guy that made the 5.0 police scanner app. I don't know if you've heard of it, but basically like it was right when the App Store came out. This guy, he's not like a huge developer. He just learned app development in his free time. He makes a police scanner app that literally breaks every record in the App Store, and he becomes a millionaire. And he just it's an amazing story. I could send you a link.
Yeah. Definitely got sent out my way. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that got in my head too much. And with college, it just feels like a lot of stuff that you're learning, it's not really helping you. Like at the end of the day, I took a bunch of interesting classes in my school, but I forgot like 90% of the course material that's on it.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I would say if I had another option other than college at the time, like if there was something that I knew I wanted to do other than college, then I would probably would have taken that.
Did college give you like going in day one? Well, okay, it's hard. I guess it's hard to ask this question because you had coding experience like going into college, but I guess imagine you didn't, right? Let's say you didn't have that boot camp experience or that program experience. if you went into college day one, no experience with coding, do you think that the curriculum was set up in a way that it was a good pace for someone that had no experience? Like good pace or structure? I guess a little like both of those are important.
I would say that like my curriculum in particular was just, so the first class I took was advanced data structures, which went over arrays, strings, like hash maps, trees, and queues, which are definitely like really useful. And then, but after that, another useful class I took was algorithms. But the issue with algorithms, it just went really deep. Like we were learning about Dijkstra's and a bunch of algorithms that like are definitely useful if you're going to like grad school.
But you might like rarely encounter it. Yeah.
I mean, I took a bunch of interesting classes too, but the issue with it is that the coursework, like the workload is so hard to do well in school, and also like to do side stuff like on the side. Like I always wanted to do something. Like YouTube is just the latest thing I wanted to do. Yep. I wanted to keep making apps in my free time. I wanted to like work on like writing, like blogs or whatever. But I had no time because college was such a like commitment. It was really hard to get on my grades. So
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
You too. You said you're a Division I athlete.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
what sport was it?
Football.
Oh, that's wait. So, what position were you?
I played safety. I played safety my first year, and then they moved me to running back my sophomore year. Well, my redshirt freshman year, and then I quit. I bounced. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, it was. I guess it wasn't that bad for me because I was like super introverted, so I didn't like going out and just doing anything anyway. So outside of my like, it helps me to have a structure. So football was just like literally all day, and then we had like mandatory study hall freshman year. So you had a certain number of hours you had to hit for study hall anyway. So it was like, all right, use that time, just knock all this stuff out, whatever. And then free time, bro, I was trying to sleep or whatever. And I had surgery my freshman year when I tore like both my MCLs. So during that time, I was like at the same time. Yeah.
What happened?
Actually, I think they were torn when I got there, and I just didn't know it. I think it happened from like squatting and lifting over the summer. Okay. But when I got there, I couldn't bend my knees. Like I just like when I was running and everything, I just realized like I wasn't in pain, but I just knew something was off. I was just like, yo, I cannot bend my knees. And so they thought it was like a joke for like first week and a half, and then
that's wild. What?
And then eventually out there, we were watching film one day, and it was just like a joke about how I ran. I was like, yo, y'all can laugh or whatever. I literally can't bend my knees. Wow. So I got an X-ray, and then they were like, yeah, both my meniscus were torn. So I had surgery on both of them, and I was in like a wheelchair. But I said all that to say that like, I had like rehab in the morning at like 6 a.m. I had classes starting at like 8. And then you got like practice weights, meetings, all this good stuff until like this is with like during school, probably like 6 or 7 o'clock. So by that time, it's over, man. If you got any free time, it was just like shut it down. It's just, you know what I mean?
I bet. It's really hard to.
Bro, it's. I mean, but no, it's. I definitely can. When you have other interests, especially if you're trying to do it seriously, like YouTube, that's why I'm kind of curious to get some of your YouTube feedback. I got a lot of people who like ask a lot of questions about starting YouTube channels and stuff like that. Towards the end, I want to get your perspective on that because it is a lot of work, and if you want to do YouTube seriously or the right way, there's a lot of variables that go into that. So trying to balance that with school too is, I'm sure that would be hard if someone was taking trying to really actually make a channel. So let's see. So how did this opportunity with Facebook come about? Yeah.
So the year before that, or the summer before that, I had the opportunity to work at Goldman Sachs, which funny enough, it came from an opportunity that was referred by someone I knew in All-Star Code. If that makes sense. Yeah. So All-Star Code, there was someone that reached out to me saying, hey, there's a Goldman Sachs summer technology program. You should apply for it.
Nice, man.
And lucky enough, I got the interview, and that was my first technical interview ever. I was in a full suit. They flew me out to New York, which is funny because I live in New York, but they flew me from my college, and I stayed in a nice hotel. I
Nice.
was in a full suit. I was terrified. I was sweating during the interview. They asked me like, "What's the difference between an interface and a class in Java?" And I remember the answer I gave was all over the place. I talked for like
Uh-huh.
5 minutes in that, but they must have liked something in me because that was for Goldman Sachs. So
Okay.
that was a great experience. I got to work on a front end web app. So I was using React, Redux, and a little bit of Java for the web app, and it was a great experience.
Nice.
They offered me I got a return offer back, and I was psyched that not only did they like me the first time, but they wanted me back.
That's
I
a big
wasn't even gonna
opportunity
apply to
too.
any
Goldman Sachs. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna apply to any of the companies. I'm like, what? I'm perfect. I don't need to apply to any tech company or any top company. Like, if they're paying me this much and if it's a great job, like I'm perfectly content with this. But funny enough, and to this day, I have no idea how, but this Facebook recruiter got my email and um, just basically reached out to me in August, pretty much 3 days after I finished my internship at Goldman Sachs, saying, "Hey, do you want to? Facebook is currently about to start recruiting for summer interns, and we saw your profile. We want to know if you'd like to start the interview process."
So the Goldman Sachs internship. So you had two internships.
Yes. Oh, I mean, technically, I had four, but the first one wasn't a tech
What?
internship. It was I worked at Kickstarter in New York,
Okay.
but I wasn't a tech intern. I was in the music department,
Oh,
and
I have a
basically I did a
friend who
bunch
just
of.
got hired there. I think
Oh, really?
Kickstarter. I think so. I think she just got
As
hired as
a
like a front
engineer?
end developer or something.
Oh, congrats!
That's cool, man. I mean, no,
They're
it's
doing
just
great things.
yeah, bro. New York is just it's so cool, man. Just this like y'all have really big name companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just out
So
there everywhere.
yeah, it
That's
is
cool.
really tough to get in on the entry level, though. I'm starting to hear more and more about that
So I've heard.
because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just there's not much space. Like so many people want to go there, and New York is full of a bunch of different industries too, like fashion and media and communications. Like
Whatever. Yeah.
it's tough. And these are
Yeah.
all satellite offices. It's rare to find a company that's headquartered in New
In
York.
New York.
So satellite offices usually have less
It's too
headcount.
expensive, yo.
Yeah, it's so expensive. It's tough. New York
Yeah.
market is
Wow.
tough. Right?
Um.
But oh, sorry, yeah, Facebook. So I got reached out to, and literally the day I got that email, I went out, I got cracking the coding interview, and I just stayed in my room for 8 hours, 9 hours a day, ate twice a day, and I was just studying as much as I can because I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is literally like an opportunity I had no idea I was even worthy of. So I was like, I gotta
Yeah, man.
it's out. And yeah, so I had the first phone interview before I went back to school. I passed to the second round. The second round was um, at my school, like I got a place in a library. And funny enough, it was only two phone interviews. Sometimes they go on site for the second one, but I guess it depends on whatever. And yeah, and I got the offer about November of 2017.
So were both of them the Goldman Sachs and the Facebook one? Those are both paid interview or paid internships.
Yeah, they were both paid.
That is wild. Cause
Yeah, it's
up
amazing.
here, I don't hear about paid internships as often. In
Detroit?
Michigan, yeah. Just
Yeah.
Michigan in general is like if it's an internship, it's usually a real deal internship. That we have, but see, we have like junior level roles. Like I don't know, like maybe like our internships are considered junior level roles here. So I don't know if
Okay.
you know what I mean. I don't know if that's just do y'all have junior roles out there or is it
Yeah. But,
I guess popular.
So junior level roles, I usually hear them for full time people, but
Yeah.
internships, it's usually like if you're in school.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
how-
Got you.
Is it this? But you said it's different. Where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't really hear about paid internships up here specifically for developers. Like, not in that, like, you're not actually classified as an intern. You'll be hired as a junior developer or something like that, or some sort of like associate developer, some sort of title like that. But
Okay.
you'll be a full time developer though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool to hear, man.
Yeah.
That so between between those two, so you had four. What was the third one?
Just this last summer, so yeah, 2019 summer, I interned at Foursquare, which is a
Okay.
small location data startup in New York as well.
Okay, cool. Um, Foursquare. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, they were really big.
What's their product? Yeah, that sounds familiar.
They have. It was the app that you would use when you go to a new location and you check in. They have the check-in feature where
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like I've.
you get recommendations.
Hold on. I gotta look this up. Yeah, I feel
definitely.
like I've heard this before.
Most people have heard of it because it was huge. 2009, 2010.
Foursquare.
They've pivoted from a consumer product to like more B2B
Uh-huh.
business, but yeah, it was huge. Um, Definitely like a popular thing to use back before I guess Facebook made their places feature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I do remember this. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
really, man, quite honestly, you had like three
Yeah.
different jobs in software development. Like they're internships, but they're also jobs at different companies.
Yeah.
That's cool. What do you
Thank
think?
you.
What do you
What?
think? What do you think was the biggest like takeaways? I guess from all these different places, all these experiences.
I just like being busy. Like I guess from ever since like seventh grade summer, I don't think I've ever had like a free summer. I've always been like trying to keep myself busy, and the biggest takeaway, I guess I could talk about the internship, but if you want, I can also talk about getting the internship or like
Yeah.
life. Definitely looking for opportunities early. Like as soon as one summer ended, I was already thinking about, all right, what am I going to do next summer? And a lot of opportunities are available, definitely like months or weeks away from like when it could happen. But because I knew that every summer, a lot of big companies would start hiring and start recruiting at the start of like the fall. I was already getting my resume ready, practicing interview questions, and yeah, I think that really helped. And also, of course, definitely luck. Like I'm not gonna say like I'm the greatest developer. I think a lot of it is just being really fortunate, being really blessed, and just being in the right position at the right time, getting the right questions. Because interviews can go all over the place. Like you could really have a great interview one day and having a terrible interview the next day, and it's just really like it just all it takes is just that one opportunity. There's so many things I failed, so many interviews and experiences that I completely underwhelmed at, but all it takes is one, man, and it really helps.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Let me see. All right, let me see. All right, so right now, so you mentioned, I mean, I think a lot of people would say what I learned too. Even I worked at a big company and have like seeing senior developers who have been in this like 20 years and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they still Google stuff. They still ask other developers who are better than them for help at stuff. So, so right now, as an ongoing thing, what's your routine like for just learning new stuff, or if you want to, if you hear about some new technology or whatever, how do you go about getting into new things?
Okay, I can give an example. I've been hearing about Flutter, which is to my understanding, it's like a cross-platform environment it's an environment to work on cross-platform apps.
Okay, yeah, I know. I've heard of it, but I haven't looked into it myself.
Because I used to play around with React Native, which was it pretty much did the same thing in terms of like you can build an app because if you want to build an app, usually for iOS you have to use Swift and Xcode, and for Android you have to use Android Studio and Java. And that like difference, because they're completely different operating systems, it's kind of hard to be a mobile developer without being an iOS developer or an Android developer.
Right.
So these kinds of tools are really paving the way for people to be able to work on things that can affect a huge population, especially if you're an indie developer. Like you're not like in a company, like it's huge.
So Flutter solves that problem?
So Flutter is one. So there's a bunch of cross-platform stuff already, but they all have a lot of issues because it's really hard to perfect that kind of thing, because an Android is really different from an iOS phone. Like they're
Right.
completely different systems. But Flutter, I think it's owned by Google. Either Flutter's owned by Google or Dart, the language that you built with it, is owned by Google. So Google is going to be on top of it.
Of course.
So it's one of like the hottest things to use right now. That and React Native, which is owned by Facebook. So I think it's great for independent developers because it makes it much easier to possibly like earn a livable wage if you can increase your audience.
That's cool, man.
People using your apps.
Would you consider yourself like a mobile developer then? Do you not really do web development that much?
I've had the opportunity to work on different parts of the stack. I've done front end, back end, mobile stuff. Done some API work and some infrastructure. I think there's benefits and there's negatives, I guess, to I think it's good to learn one thing really well, but it's also good, and especially like for people like that are my age or at my point in my career, like to just learn as much as you can from different parts. Because I think the more valuable you can be, the more you get paid, and the harder it is to let you go.
I'm hitting that same realization myself, man.
Really.
Sweet. What about this isn't on here, but just curious. What about like DevOps stuff? Do you get into that at all, or?
So someone told me that they just did the AWS cloud certification.
Yeah.
Recently, and I've been hearing a lot about that like certification, that it's really useful. I think it's because it's not really developing. To my understanding, it's more like maintenance, monitoring a bunch of things.
It's just,
and really, I think that's super useful.
Just knowing how to use all the tools that are in the AWS cloud, or either that or Azure. Either one of those, you can get certified in either one of those. I think it's like a guaranteed decent pay increase, but also like a lot more job security going forward, and a lot of stuff is just going to be in the cloud in general. So it's like I think it's interesting. So you were saying how hard it is, kind of like entry level stuff out there in New York, and that's true, because I've had other friends that I met when I came out there that were saying the same thing. Like their job search experience or interview process out there was pretty rough, man. Like just the questions they got asked, like some of the algorithms they had to write for the interview. It was just like some of them had 3 or 4 rounds. Some of them had 3 or 4 round interviews. I mean, this is stuff that I just like up here. That we have that with, like, if you interview with one of the few FANG company offices up here, they're just now starting to come up. So we just got like Google, there's Amazon, there's no Facebook up here. Trying to think, like Ford Motor Company is a really big one up here for us. So like if you get a job there, you might definitely run into some probably more like multi-round interview process and like a little bit more. But for the most part, though, it's like very rare that you get kind of the intense interviews that I heard some of my friends in New York kind of going through.
It's ridiculous.
But with that, though, do you think it's because of the boot camp stuff, or are we gonna say it's boot camps, or is it just exposure to the internet, people just going online, doing free code camp, taking Udemy courses, teaching themselves? Or do you think it's just a combination of both that's really making it harder to get those entry-level jobs?
I think what I'd first say is there's a lot of people like to hate or try to feel like people from boot camps are any different from people with 4-year degrees. Let me tell you that for the most part, my degree is pretty useless. Like, other than it being a way to pass the resume, I don't think my ability to create products is any different from anyone, whether they went to school or not. I think that's a whole completely different mindset and a whole completely different skill you have to build. But moving on from that, I think competition just in general, because everyone's getting into code. So many more people are getting into the major in colleges, and so many people are realizing like, hey, this is a thing that I can get 6 figures in, and there's not many jobs in America that you can really see yourself getting into the 6-figure range.
Yeah, man, it's a
so
real thing.
Everyone's getting into coding, and there's so much competition for entry-level roles. What I've heard is that once you get experience, it's like the reverse effect in New York. People are emailing you all around like, oh, you got these buzzwords, oh, you have React, oh, you have all this. But entry-level roles are really hard to get. It's like it's tough. And I think networking is a huge bonus too. If you can find a way to get past that initial resume screen. But were you talking about the questions they ask you in the interview, or the whole process?
Yeah, kind of just the process itself, and then also what you just mentioned, I think is important because it kind of goes back to what you went through, right? Like you said, someone in your network has sent you that opportunity, and that's how you got into one of your internships, was it?
Yeah, or I guess that and Facebook, because I was reached out to.
Oh, okay.
Like just in general, getting in touch with a recruiter, or being able to directly pass your application to someone.
I never dealt with recruiters before either. Before working in tech, what's been your experience with recruiters and stuff?
So I would say I'm fortunate enough to have the stuff on my resume that makes it so that more often I'm getting reached out to rather than me reaching out. But I'm still like, for the last time I was looking for my full-time role, I was sending out a bunch of apps that were getting rejected left and right. But there's two types of recruiters, to my understanding. It's like the third-party ones that don't work for the company you're trying to get into, but they are looking for people. They help people get to that company, and they take a cut of the fee that it took to hire you. And there's recruiters for the company. I would say when you definitely want to work for a recruiter, you definitely want to talk to recruiters of the company. The company. They're the ones that are the most direct. Yeah. And anything you can do to make that recruiter's job easier, I think, is something that people should really focus on. Like in terms of really being able to communicate what you want in your next role, being able to talk about your past and your background, anything that you can use so they can pass it to the hiring manager or the team that just gives them a great impression of you. I'd say that recruiters are really big. And later in your career, of course, like when you're negotiating salaries, when you have some actual leverage, like having the recruiter on your side is such a huge plus.
It's helpful. Yeah, I would agree, man. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. It kind of, I don't know, like job hunting feels different once you kind of have a little experience under your feet or something as a developer. It's like a whole different experience than what it used to be before. Before, I felt like it was always just like, who's hiring? Just like, just generic, who out there is hiring? Like, I'll work for anybody. Just
myself.
Is it a certain dollar an hour? All right, cool. What is it? Clerical work, I'll do it. Starbucks, I'll do it. Like,
no, it really
furniture
is.
Sales, I'll do it. Like, let me see. All right, so for other self-taught developers out there, what is your advice to them? So I know you gave the Udemy plug earlier, but any other, like, I guess maybe tips, tricks, hacks, anything that you did personally that you would share with anybody that's trying to...
As a self-taught developer, I would say something that even I wish I did more was networking. That's one of the biggest things that is undebatable about going to college versus being self-taught. You get to meet other like-minded people, and if you're a comp sci major, you get to meet other comp sci majors, and maybe people from tech companies come visit your campus. Just being able to see people and interact is so powerful. So
yeah, man.
I would say if you're a self-taught developer that's not in school, like try to find if there's meetups in your city, any kinds of like hackathons or anything. I've been to a few hackathons, never did well in them, but just being able to go to places where people are in your field and are decision makers in your field and being able to put a face to the things you do, that can be really strong. Being able to sell yourself is sometimes even greater than being able to do the things. But of course, also like you always have to be learning new things.
Absolutely, man. On the startup front, because it sounds like while you were in college, you were also doing the entrepreneurial thing. So would you say that being on a college campus or having that, like you said, networking up there, was that helpful as you were doing your entrepreneurial thing? Like, did you feel like there was more support, or that it was easier by having like other developers around you if you wanted to like get a co-founder, or was the university open to helping you out with this, or like giving you users, and or you know what I mean? Did they try to help you out as a student that was working on this project?
Well, I mean, other than tearing down my posters, I guess they weren't even supposed to be this.
Right.
That's all right. But I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I did contact like this department in the school about my idea and seeing if this college could support it.
Right.
I never know. I don't think I made much headway with that, and I don't think I was at the point where I was looking to really start the company because I hadn't even made the MVP yet. But it was, I bounced some ideas off of friends, and I got I did their support. But for the most part, it was me creating the idea, marketing it, and promoting it everywhere. But I would say if it wasn't for the workload, I think being on a college campus, it just, because there's so many people around you, people with different ideas and different opinions about a lot of stuff, that it's just really cool to bounce ideas off of them and seeing how it would gauge. Because college is like a small sampling of the whole.
Yeah. That's one thing I would say. I think if I did go back, or if I stayed, I feel like that's the one benefit I would have looked for in it, is like being around, like having classmates who, so it's like boot camp but for 4 years. Like there would have been people who you started out at a certain level with, and then out over time, and as I got, like, it would be cool to see like some of the stories I hear out of like you know, like crazy Stanford and stuff like that, but like people link up as computer science students and like either drop out together or start companies, or they graduate, start companies, and they do great things. And it's like, that's cool that they started, you know, they all started on the same path or whatever, but then it led them somewhere totally different. But they met each other just from, like you said, networking and being in school together. So let me see.
Definitely. If I wasn't broke in college, I definitely would have loved to jump on that startup wagon. You need a lot. It's tough. You need a lot of funding to do that.
Funding, resources, time, and just energy, man. Resilience, belief. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Just being an iOS developer, you have to pay the yearly license of $100, and that was tough. Because you're not even making any money.
Because is it Java or not Java? Android doesn't have that, right?
No, I think it's either.
It's free.
I can't remember exactly. I never made something for Android, but I think it's like either $15 one-time fee or something. Okay. It's definitely less than $100. But Apple, every 100 years, they just take it from your wallet. Regardless of if you're making money or not. It's wild. It's crazy.
So, all right, man. So YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
YouTube definitely. Stuff. All right. So I get asked, like, people. So first off, what inspires you to make your YouTube channel? I know you wanted to make the videos, but were you just into shooting and editing? Were you just like, I just want to put my thoughts out there? Like, what was the main reason that you were like, I'm gonna start doing YouTube seriously?
Honestly, both of those. I actually used to work in the video department, the video department of the sports. Department of my school. So
nice.
I was editing videos for tennis, basketball, golf, squash, crew, football a little bit. And
that was at your high school?
Oh no, at my college.
Oh, I was freshman, like, I was at high school.
That was a campus study job. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would get compliments about it, and I was like, oh yeah, this video editing stuff, it's pretty fun. Like to see the end result.
That's sweet.
And I've been watching YouTube for like a decade now, probably. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely motivated by seeing how big creators can get, and like how it's a real great like stream of revenue or stream of income if you can really work yourself up to it. But above all, like I love making content, like, and that's what I realized that I enjoyed a lot. Even with making an app, just seeing something with your name on it that people are using and people are enjoying in some way, like it's great. Just recently, I guess earlier, maybe like March of last year, I started taking YouTube like really seriously and trying to build out my channel, figure out the kind of niche and the kind of stuff I want to bring. And it's going pretty well so far.
It is, man. It is. What's some advice you would give somebody who is like starting out, 0 subscribers, just made their YouTube channel today, and let's say they have a general idea what they want to do, but you know they haven't found a niche or anything yet. I
would say start. I am like 2 years later than I wanted to start, just because I had all these questions like, oh, it's not going to be good. I have nothing to talk about. This is going to be embarrassing. But making content is so hard to get right. And just looking at tutorials for days or videos, like you're not going to get anywhere until you actually put yourself out there. My first videos are terrible. I think I'm starting to get to the point where my videos are like mediocre, like they're okay. But if I hadn't just taken that plunge and realized all the stuff that I want to iterate on, like I've, I would say just starting. As soon as you get an idea for something, even if it's completely different from what you end up doing, just being able to put yourself out there and just start the journey. I think content creation, I think branding is going to be one of the big, if it's not already, being able to have an online brand for yourself, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, that's going to be one of the most important things because so many people are doing it. Being an influencer is a real career at this point.
It's a real thing to the point where, I mean, dude, it's like, I mean, for the sake of just discussion, do you think that someone with a social or digital brand as a developer, right, going into a job interview against someone with straight up just the college degree, do you think that do you think that has any advantage or leverage
What's
over
funny is that there's a few bigger YouTubers than us right now that were in companies that, like, there's just one YouTuber. I don't know if it's all right to say his name. But I mean, he's big enough.
Yeah, dude.
But
go ahead.
I don't know if you saw that YouTube video of that guy that worked at Facebook that had a YouTube channel, but then he got fired. And he said he got fired because he had his YouTube channel where he was talking about tech. I think his name is the Tech League.
Tech League? Yeah. Oh, he was in New York.
I don't know if he was in New York, but the way he presented the video, it was like having a YouTube channel actually cost him the job because maybe they accused him of like leaking stuff or
okay, because he was huge. I mean, he's like over like I think he's like 600,000 last time I saw him.
Yeah, it's big.
It's huge.
But sorry, to answer your original question, I agree. I think there was one time someone reached out to me and they said they saw something I wrote online about this basketball iOS app that I was building, and that was a great conversation starter. And if anything, it spoke for me because I didn't really have to talk about it because I had posted it online. And whether it's YouTube, someone wants to do blog writing, Instagram, I think just building something and sharing it with the world is like, it's about to be the new resume now. Like just having work, like people don't want to see what you talk about if they can just see it.
Yeah, man, so, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like any little thing you can do, like any little +1 is icing on the cake.
Because it's getting so competitive now because everyone's doing computer science.
Yep. Let me think. YouTube stuff, coding stuff. Let me see if there's any questions that I missed before I let you go, man. Let's see. Yeah, so going forward, because it sounds like you got a lot of things that you're into, a lot of hobbies, man. You stay busy. So career-wise, where do you see like everything going for you? Are you just trying to Are you trying to just become as good of a dev as you can? Do you want to switch roles down the road? Like, what do you see like in the future?
Well, I definitely want to get good at being a software engineer. I do have a 5-year plan that I've written in my notes.
Nice.
That does involve like becoming a senior level dev, being able to help other people in their career.
Yeah, man.
I definitely want to get to a point where I can figure out ways to give back to the community. That like, and by community I mean the community that I grew up in, other people of color, anyone that's like looking to grow, to get into tech in some way. But to do that, there's so many steps that need to fall into place, and I'm hoping to grow my YouTube channel a lot too.
Yeah, man. Speaking of YouTube channel, I'm going to go ahead and put it back up on the screen right there. Thanks. Tobi the Great. Tobi the Great, man. I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing your thoughts and opinions, man. Dude, 2020, what's on the agenda this year? Do you have any big milestones or anything that you want to, like projects you're working on or just any goals tech-wise you want to hit this year?
Oh, tech-wise. Oh, great. The video I just uploaded on my channel yesterday, building a basketball RPG. I'm building a basketball RPG app, and I'm really excited about it. And so that's my milestone, to get it done by the end of this month, and also to get 1,000 subscribers, which is a pretty lofty goal, but I'm really trying to get better with my videos.
Nah, it's not lofty, bro. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's not lofty.
That's,
it's not
that's
lofty.
why I wanted to do this collab, because
We
I'm
got
like,
this.
Darian's gonna pass me.
Nah, we
anytime
got
soon.
this, man. Nah, we
Yeah,
got this, man. Go subscribe. Tobi the Great, man.
Thanks.
I appreciate you, brother. Keep uploading.
Yeah.
Keep creating your content,
Thank
man.
you.
Keep
Yeah.
being great. And I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you an email like once we hop off, and if you could also shoot me that book you were talking about, and there was like one other resource you mentioned. Oh, the program that you went. Yeah, yep. That'd be perfect, and I'll share that. I'll share that with everybody. Again, man, I appreciate you, my dude. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks.
All right,
Thanks
sweet,
for having
man.
me.
See you.
Yeah.